But there was a kind of, well, I'd say a kind of gradual, inevitable Darwinian evolution of the material, which is very, very marvelous in its existential way. But it isn't, in quotation marks, modern in Bach's time. And there is a marvelous example of a modern fugue in the B-flat minor, you know, from Book 2.
The tom,
you know, that piece is of a totally different order than the E major. The theme appears as we sung it, more or less. And then at the end of the exposition, in canon for the first time, so on. Then later on in inversion, then in inverted canon, and so on. And every time he changes the process, every time he looks at it from a different angle, he positions it in a different key to show that angle, even though the first statements of those processes may very well be the tonic. For example, at the end of the exposition, as a kind of wrap-up to the exposition, he does put it into the canon for the first time. Then he modulates very subtly, modulates to the mediant and produces this absolutely enchanted version in canon. You know, and he's not using tonality, though, even by doing that, by relating the tonic and the mediant. He's not using tonality as even many of his contemporaries, Scarlatti, say, used it. To use a fashionable word, Bach was not a minimalist, you know. He wasn't concerned about staying put in one key, but the dramatic effects of doing that. He wasn't concerned about trying to balance so many minutes of key X with so many minutes of key Y for the second theme or whatever. He's really not terribly concerned ever about exploiting the whole process of time itself as a compositional element in the way that later composers, the classical composers particularly, were. I mean, when Bach juxtaposes a tonic and a mediant, as he did there, it's a totally different kind of juxtaposition of keys than this tonic. Juxtaposed with this mediant. You know, Bach, unlike Beethoven, uses all those keys as you might use stops on an organ. They give him ideas, they give him colors, they give him registrations for the incredible, incredible motivic workings out that are taking place in this rather incredible fugue. almost has to coin some other word than modulation for what Bach does in a fugue like that. It's not modulation just, it's key perception or something like that. He perceives the qualities inherent in every key he passes through in a spooky way. It's marvelous.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just an amazing contrapuntal to the force.
No.
It's also an amazing harmonic conception.
Harmonic, absolutely. Yeah.